Hello and thank you for watching my video. Today we will be talking about Chapter 2, Configuring a Network Operating System by me, Astrid Krasniqi. Okay, on this chapter we will be discussing how to configure a basic operating system. Now Cisco's operating system is called Inter-Network Operating System, or short for IOS. This operating system is stored in something called flash. Well, these flashes are similar to SSD or static drives that we know them, and they are non-volatile storage, which means that if power is lost, the storage, the data that we have in the flash, it will be saved. It will be there. It can be changed or overwritten as needed. So if we need to upgrade the operating system or something, then we can change it or we can overwrite it. We can use to store multiple different versions of our operating system. iOS copied from flash. It is when you boot up the router, iOS will go to flash, will grab the operating system, which is stored in compressed version, and load it into RAM in uncompressed version. Now, every operating system, doesn't matter which one, whether it's Windows, Linux, or anything, it's grabbed from the storage and is running from RAM. Well, same happens in Inter-Network Operating System. The operating system is stored in flash, then when you boot up the router, it grabs it from flash and it puts it on random access memory. Quantity of flash and RAM memory determines IOS that can be used. So if you want to upgrade the newest, latest and greatest operating system, first thing you need to do is check that your flash can meet the specifications. Now Cisco Devices, there's few methods of how we can access them. So first method is the console. With the console method, you have to go to the router, you have to be like at least a meter and a half close to the router, and you plug in a cable called the blue cable or console cable, and a Cisco proprietary cable. I'll show you this cable. They plug it in and you're connected. The second method is Telnet or SSH. Now with Telnet or SSH, you have to connect through the network, so you don't have to be close to the router. You can be configuring it from your desk where you're working on the 7th floor, and the router can be somewhere else in the ground, on the basement. The third method is AU export. AU export is like a legacy or old version of configuring the routers. You have to have a modem, so you ring the modem first and then you have access to the router through the modem. If we connect through the console port, in the console port is this way we access the device is called out of band, which means that we're not using the bandwidth to configure, and the router or the switch doesn't have to have any configuration there whatsoever for you to be able to configure. This is what we do when we get brand new routers with no configuration. We just grab a console cable and we plug it in the console port. It's nicely marked there, and it's a blue port, it's called console. We put our cable there, we open our terminal line, and we can start configuring it. Okay, so it needs a special console cable, allows configuration to be entered, should be configured with password to prevent unauthorized access. So like I'm saying, if your router is accessible by people, like I don't know, in the lobby or something, someone comes up with a console cable, puts it in and starts configuring our router. Well, it's good if we put a password there, so at least we have some kind of security. Devices should be located in secure room. So, not in the lobby, put them in the lockable cabinet so nobody can access them. First, they have to break through to that room, and then they have to put a console cable, and then you have configured a password, so it's not as easy. The other method is Telnet. This Telnet method is to remotely access command line interface over network, but it does require active networking services. So one of the interfaces has to be configured with a IP address, and you're going to use the bandwidth, so it's in band. This is not as secure, so it's like a clear text. Everything you can, if somebody's sniffing the packets, looking what you're doing, they can tell, they can see the passwords and everything. If you want to do it like encrypted version, then you use secure shell. The remote login similar to Telnet, but utilizes more security. It does use stronger password authentication and uses encryption when it's transporting data. And the last method is AU export. This is out of band connection as well, it does use a telephone line, a modem, can be used like a console port. Okay, now I'm going to start the packet tracer. Okay. Now this is packet tracer. I'm going to grab one of the routers and bring it to our network. So I'll grab this 1841. Now in packet tracer, it's easy. We can just go there and start double click it, and we are in the router. Now in the real devices, there's nothing there to click. There's no, in the router, there's nothing, there's not like a display or something where we can start configuring it. So the only way to do it is grab your laptop or PC and go to next to the router, grab a console cable, which is this blue cable, and put it at the back of the laptop or back of the PC with a serial port. Now some of the PCs, they don't have the serial port, so if you don't have the serial port, there is like a converter, USB to serial. Now you're gonna need that. If you're lucky to have a serial port, well, serial ports, you're not lucky, they are old, so only if you have an old laptop or old PC you will have one. Otherwise you're gonna need a converter. But if you have, you put it at the back of the laptop, which is called RS232 in the packet tracer, but it's a serial port at the back. Now once you connect that serial port, you will connect it to the router on the other side. The router, it has a like RJ45 port, so you connect it to there, called the console port. If I look at the physical view of the router, so if you can see like a physical view here, let me just arrange this window. Okay, here. Now you can see the router here has at the back of it, it has a console port. It's marked blue, so it's easy for you to identify where to put that blue cable, and you start configuring it. Once you put it, the console cable in, you go to your laptop or PC and open some terminal lines. Now terminal line, there's a different types of terminal lines. You can go and download free terminal lines like or application, I should say, like Teraterm. That's a good application, free application. Or PuTTY, that's another free application. There's some paid applications, they're like terminal application, but free ones, they are quite good. Okay, so you open that terminal application, okay, and then you're inside the router. We can start doing the configuration. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Okay, here we have a terminal emulation program, different types of terminal emulation. So first one is PuTTY. PuTTY is really good. It's very everybody is like using it because it's free and it works. Teraterm, that's another one. It's quite good. Secure CRT, this one you have to pay for it. Hyperterminal, it used to be free with Windows XP, but now they started charging for it. And you need to go download it. You can download it for trial like a month and see how, if you like it, then you can pay for get license and pay for it. OSX terminal, this is for Apple users. Okay, to download the terminal emulation, maybe I can do it. Let's go through. Okay, so if just type up, you can just type PuTTY, and then you will get the, don't get these like, see the www, this, you have a www.putty.org. Okay, so select that one and download PuTTY. You can download PuTTY here, so that's, click there. Now you choose what version of Windows you have, but the first one usually it works quite good, even for 64-bit Windows. So just click that, and you can see the PuTTY started in download. It's finished very quickly. So when I click on it, I don't have to install it, it will just run. So click run, and here we have a terminal emulation application running program. Now if you connect with the serial cable, you have to choose a serial port. Now COM1, that's a default, but if you're using a serial port, physical serial port, the integrated serial port, then it's usually COM1. But if you're using a USB converted to serial, then this COM1 is not the one. Usually might be COM3, COM4. you have to go to check in